I want to show you how to use the levels eyedroppers with an image. Let's take a look at this image itself. Take a moment, look at the image, and one of the things we need to know is, where do you think the darkest point is? Where do you think the lightest point is? Now, this is a grayscale image, but what can we assume here? Now, we have to take in consideration a couple things: the subject matter, the lighting, time of day. And I think in this example I can safely guess that the man's shirt collar is white, and the shadows in the room in the background would be fairly dark. Now, to help you out here, we could go up to image adjustments and choose threshold. And it's a neat little trick, is that when you move it over to the right, you see those little white specks? This is telling me where the lightest point is in my document. I'm going to take my shift key here and I'm going to click in this white area. It puts a sample point in so I can use it down the road. Now, when it comes to the opposite effect, and what I want to do here is I want to look for the darkest point, and notice I find it up here in the top left corner. I'm going to take my shift key again. I'm going to click one more time, and I'm going to cancel out my threshold command. I found my lightest point, and actually my lightest point here I found that is on the lady's dress instead of the collar. But again, you can make certain assumptions accordingly. I'm going to go up to Layer, choose New Adjustment Layer, and choose Levels, and click OK. Now, instead of using my sliders, I'm going to use my eyedroppers here. I'm going to take the white eyedropper. I'm going to click in the middle of that anchor point, taking a second or two for it to clean up. Sorry about that. Take my black eyedropper, click on the darkest point. Look what happens. And notice how my sliders are adjusted automatically when I use the black and white eyedroppers. You could have just moved the sliders in if you wanted to, but a lot of people like to go in and use the eyedroppers because you get a little better control. One thing you have to watch out for is you don't want to get too dark or too washed out. You know, when you have it too washed out, then it's blown out. You don't see details. When it's too black, you can't see any details at all. And that's why in the book it talks about going in and double clicking on these eyedroppers to set up the values. So like for the white, they don't want you to set it up so it's pure white. They want to be just a little less so you don't lose detail. And that's the key, is when you start looking at these images, and even if you move these sliders in, you have to look at the image and say, okay, did I lose any detail? If you lose detail, then you need to go back into your sliders and make adjustments. So in this case, I'm looking around. I know I probably did the histogram correctly by adjusting the sliders or the pointers, but did you lose any detail? Now, some of the part of the image, it's lacking details, such as the top left-hand corner. But the key thing here I want you to remember is, if it's losing detail, then you need to still adjust it. So be careful on that as you're working with this, and that's the reason why they have you go in and double click on these eyedroppers to go in and put in the values that you need to work with. And I believe they talk about the table on page 198 of the book. Minimum settings, and 197 is where it talks about in more detail. Hopefully this is going to help you out on that.